welcome to Talks on Scary Docs, a documentary review podcast where the co-hosts and guests discuss, review, and give recommendations on any and all types of documentaries. Episode 40. For this episode, we will be reviewing the following scary dogs. Shawn selected Prime, Jack Pierce, the maker of monsters. HP selected Prime Rental Rats, directed by Morgan Spurlock. And I selected Prime Rental Wrinkles The Clown.
So what's all been going on, guys?
That was a pretty fun couple days for me.
Yeah? Why is that?
Oh, Sarah surprised me. My birthday's coming up.
Oh, okay.
Sarah surprised me Monday night with a trip that we were gonna take. So she got grandparents to stay overnight.
Nice.
And she had everything arranged, hotel and flight, and told me to pick where I wanted to eat and what kind of rental car I wanted, and we went to LA. Nice.
Oh, wow.
So we flew out. It's been a whirlwind. We flew out, what is today? Friday. We flew out Thursday morning, pretty early. We took the kids to school, and then straight to the airport, and we were on the ground in LA by like 11 or 12. Mm-hmm. And then hit the rental car, got myself a black Dodge Challenger.
Oh, cool.
And pre-test drove my midlife crisis mobile, I think.
Nice.
That was pretty awesome.
Must be nice to be a one-percenter.
Well, you know, when you convince the credit card companies, you are. Sky's the limit.
Right.
So, yeah, and then the kicker of it all, the reason we really went to LA is, have you guys seen Rocket Man, the movie?
No.
Jeez.
I'm sorry.
All right. That's serious homework issues here. So you guys got to watch Rocket Man. Taron Egerton.
Hold on for a second. I'm getting knocked at my trailer door. You guys can keep on talking about it.
So, yeah, Rocket Man, it's Elton John's story, but it's, I can't remember what he calls it, but he calls it like a fantastic biography or something like that. It's not, it's his life, but it's a lot of music added, a little bit of special effects added. And Taron Egerton can really sing. He's from, Kingsman fame.
Oh, okay.
You saw the Kingsman movies?
Yeah.
He was in that. He's the voice of Johnny the gorilla in Sing. And he's got legit pipes. He sings in that one.
Yeah, for sure.
And
he's got a good career in front of him. That's for sure.
He does. He's very, very good looking. So anyway, Rocket Man came out, and we both like totally just went head first into it and totally were digging it. What's his name? Elton John's doing like his final farewell tour. And then she discovered just through the Instagram grapevine that they were doing a live orchestra-supported showing of it at the Greek Theater in LA.
Oh, wow.
And then it wasn't just the movie. So I guess they do that kind of a lot. So they had the orchestra playing all the songs in the movie, because there's obviously a lot of songs. But at some point, you didn't really know, but they said at some point, Elton and Taron will come out. And so, sure enough, at the end, they played the whole movie. They have an intermission. The orchestra is just awesome. You know, just amping up the music like crazy. It was super cool. And then at the beginning, the director comes out and gives you like an intro and tells you some things and some stuff like that about the movie you probably didn't know. And then at the end, here comes Taron Egerton and Elton John.
Wow.
And so they got a piano out there, and they sing a couple songs together, and then Elton gets on the piano and's busting it out, and they're singing kind of duets and different parts of his famous music that you just watched Edgerton sing in the movie. And they so yeah, that was pretty badass. I mean, it was some great music. And then they bring out pretty much the rest of the cast. They bring out, I don't know how much you guys know about Elton John, but he's got pretty much a partner who's his writer. They've been best friends since he was like first in the biz. Like he kind of got assigned to him, like, hey, this guy writes lyrics but can't sing, and you can write music but aren't very good at lyrics. And so he would literally just get these lyrics in like poem form, Elton John would, from this guy named Bernie, and he would fire it all together and come up with the piano tune to these lyrics, and then they just became best friends. And they literally, like 90% of the songs Elton John has sang on his 33 albums are from Bernie. And so Bernie Taupin and him are like best buds, and he honestly says he's the brother I never had. We've only had one argument our whole life. So it's pretty cool. He comes out, and the guy who plays him in the movie comes out, and then the director comes out again, and then the gal that plays Elton John's mom comes out. So there's quite a few on stage, and they kind of have a round table discussion, and him and then Taryn and Elton have one more song, and that was it. But it was I mean, the show started at 8, and we didn't leave till midnight, so it was a legit experience. So, and then we had all day that day in LA, and then a little bit that night, and the next day, this morning, getting back to the airport. It was like a 24-hour whirlwind.
Jeez.
It was pretty sweet. Yeah. Sarah really wanted some authentic, LA taco, like Mexican taco, LA style. That's what she was thinking. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. And so we're walking, and I'm like, looks like legit hole in the wall, super burrito equivalent, like,
right.
Obviously, like, and she's like, I think that's a little too legit. Like it was, and the guy, I'm walking by, and I'm like, it looks great, there's people, and the guy walking out's like, it is good. I'm like, look, he says it's good, honey. And she's like, eh. So we walk a little bit farther, and there's like more of like a LA one that you would pick, like, music videos bumping and big margaritas, but street tacos, and so we bust out a couple of those, and then we hustle back and got ready for the party that night. But
nice.
It was definitely, I definitely am not like pros and cons. It was an epic like adventure. The show was great. Elton was great. But definitely some fun experiences. And I don't know. Have you guys been to LA much?
I used to live in LA when I was
in
elementary school.
Yeah, the smog in that town.
It's nothing compared to what it was in the 80s, though, man. When I lived there.
Still, it was horrendous. Like, we get out of the airport, we're on in the walking out and looking at the windows. And we're like, good God, it is like you can't see anything.
Yeah, I always laugh when in movies then they show LA or the Hollywood sign or something, and it's always blue skies, and you're like, I have never seen LA that way, never once in my life.
Right.
Yeah,
I have, but that's only because I live there, and there's a certain the Santa Ana winds are what blows through and clears out all the smog, and it literally just drops it out into Death Valley, basically.
Yeah,
it was funny. Like the Santa Anas, like that's basically what we would call a windy day here in northern Nevada.
Oh
like,
yeah,
I'm like the Santa Anas. It's a little wind, party people. Like, it is not anything.
True. That's so true. Yeah,
but yeah, nothing. So. It was, and then it was stark. Like, we're dealing with some homeless issues here in northern Nevada, we think, but literally we would go down there, and we were like borderline Beverly Hills. Like, we're in nice areas up there supposedly, and you go around a corner, and in the middle, so there's a 4-lane road. With the middle of the road is grass, like a 5-foot raised grass with trees in the middle, and it's like a row of 10 camps of 10 tents, like in a row, like just, and nobody's doing anything, obviously. Like, they was there the whole day we were there, under freeways. There's like furniture, like they're co-oping between each other, like it was crazy. And obviously there was no enforcement going on, like just And the bums there, like, we get all irritated when they stand on the corner by the off-ramp here.
Right.
As soon as traffic slows down, they might as well, like, be able to split lanes, because they just go walking right down the dotted line with their little sad sign.
Yeah, or cleaning windows or whatever.
Yeah, there's a guy in the parking lot cleaning windows, which I can respect a hell of a lot more, but I'll still tell him to leave me alone.
Right.
But yeah, we saw the richest of the rich going up to the Greek Theater and up in the Hollywood Hills, and then we saw like the poor of the within a mile of each other. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's insane. Well, it's that one documentary we watched, the marathon one.
Yeah. Bro.
Yeah, it's
Elton
insane.
John, Rocket Man. Check it out. It's a legit movie, and a lot of drugs, a lot of sex. You got to be comfortable with gay, straight sex. Doesn't matter which.
Yeah.
It's an open world.
No.
And but it was it's a good story. In the end, there's a lot of good messages in it that we were talking about on the flight back. Sarah and I, like, you can get a lot out of this movie. As like a parent and how he was raised, and goods and bads, and what caused him to become the way he was, and what he's realized now that he's an old parent. And love and loving yourself, but it's very adult.
Cool.
That's awesome.
How was your guys?
Yeah, it's fine. Nothing.
There's nothing compared to that.
Yeah. So after my 1% weekend, what'd you guys do? Just to compare notes.
I'm kicking back Coronas like the rest of you.
Right. Are any of you guys going to Halloween costume parties or Halloween parties or anything like that?
Nope.
No. Yeah, my company has an office party but that's just during work. So we have a lunchtime Halloween party. Everybody dresses up and we have costume contest and that kind of thing. But that's the extent of our Halloween.
What are you going to dress up as?
I still haven't figured it out. Last year I kind of threw together a Goofy costume because I had a Goofy hat from Disneyland, and so I put together an orange shirt and vest and all that, and actually it actually was pretty decent Goofy costume. Yeah. So I'm thinking this year I might wrap it in cheesecloth and go as Goofy as a mummy.
Mummy, that's nice. That's good. That's cool. That's cool.
Nice.
Do you have anything, HP?
Not this year. We have in years past. I think one year I was Charlie Brown.
You'd make a good Frankenstein. Well, you make a good Charlie Brown too.
Sarah was the Great Pumpkin. Sarah was pregnant with Everett at the time.
Got it.
So she drew a pumpkin on an orange shirt and like wore it. She was the Great Pumpkin.
Wow.
Nice.
You'd make a good Frankenstein though too, man, because you're a taller guy with your big old head.
That's true. I do got the big dome.
Which we'll reference later on in Shawn's documentary for tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I gotta find something. My buddy Craig, he throws this big, huge costume party about every other year. The last time I went as the two scariest things known to man, a police officer and a clown at the same time. So, but I don't have access to my police uniform anymore. No, I'm trying to think of something. I don't know what to do. Originally, I was thinking of I was going to shave off every bit of my hair and wear nothing but a cloth diaper and go as a big fat baby. But
oh my God.
Because I've gained a lot of weight over the last couple of years, and I kind of want to flaunt that and show it off of my gains of fat. So that's kind of the theme I've been trying to go with. But my wife is like she definitely was not on board for the baby. So my next attempt was Fat Thor, and I was just gonna, the scene where he's literally just in pajama bottoms and Crocs. Well, I have pajama bottoms and Crocs. So I was just gonna order the wig, but the one wig that is somewhat decent is like I wouldn't get it until like November 4th. So,
yeah.
It is so back ordered that a Thor wig. So I was like, okay, that's out of the question. And then for some reason I started thinking about becoming, alright, this is kind of a long drawn out name, but it is the midlife crisis plastic surgery, liposuction, pre-op patient.
So how do you do that?
Well, basically, I'm naked.
Just dressed like yourself?
Right. No, it's well. Have you ever seen a plastic surgery or liposuction pre-op patient, where they're all
drawn on?
Yeah, everything's drawn on of all the places that they're going to get lifts and tummy tucks and fat sucked out of their butt and out of their back and stuff. So I was going to do all those markings of what I was going to do for my midlife crisis, liposuction, but wasn't passed by the wife either. So.
She's just strict. Yeah, she's strict.
You could go as Fat Peter Parker from Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
All you need is a spider shirt.
Right. Yeah, but I don't know if many people would get that though.
Oh, I don't know. I was actually looking on Amazon because I was thinking about doing that costume this year. I was looking on Amazon for a shirt, and there was probably 4 or 5 compression Spider-Man shirts.
Yeah.
And every single one of them in the reviews had a picture of somebody dressed as Fat Peter Parker.
Fat Peter Parker. That's a good idea now that I think about it, because I'll have to get like a piece of pizza and carry it around with me.
Right.
Because I've got the hair color and stuff. I'll have to shave, but no, because he always has that kind of like 5 o'clock shadow.
Growth. Yeah.
Yeah. Too bad my hair hasn't grown out a little bit more, but yeah, I could do that. I'll have to find the bottoms, right?
You just wear sweatpants. It's just gray sweatpants.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That's what I'm wearing right now. That's awesome, dude. Fat Peter Parker. That works. I'm gonna have to get one that's like 2 sizes too small.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for that suggestion there, Shawn.
No problem.
I won't have to use permanent marker all over my body and spend 2 days trying to clean it off. With rubbing alcohol or whatever gets permanent marker off. All right. Well, hey there. Thanks for joining us. Let us introduce ourselves. I am Sturdy.
I'm HB.
And I'm Shawn.
Any cool kid costumes?
Oh yeah. So that's another fight not fight, but text message war, I guess you could say. Because so I had so that's the exciting part I had of my week there, HB. My truck died. The alternator went out and it drained and killed off one of my batteries. So what was that?
On the excursion?
On the excursion, yeah.
Didn't you just change the alternator 6 months
Shawn.
ago?
Shut up, Shawn.
That's when you took the whole dashboard apart?
No, that was to put a stereo in.
But I'm thinking like maybe a little electrical short.
Oh,
maybe?
yeah. There's got to be something in there draining them. But yeah, exactly 6 months ago, Shawn. Thanks for keeping a tab on my excursion. And
those Fords are high quality, I got to tell you.
Wow.
Whatever. Okay, you show me a truck that's big enough to fit my family and diesel. All right, game over.
Why is it got to be a diesel?
Because I said so, HB.
Okay. All right, like to roll the coal. Got it.
But yeah, 6 months ago I did replace the alternator, and well, the shop I took it through, they went through 3 alternators themselves before the one I finally got.
Wow.
Yeah, and like they'd give it back to me, and I'd drive it around. It'd go out again. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I told them, I was like, there's got to be something shorting it out. They're like, well, it's the alternator. Nothing's going to short it out. And I was like, okay, well, I guess that's what you guys know. And but something's draining it. But so the one I put on there it allegedly has a lifetime warranty. So I'm going to put it to them in about 6 months when I show up with that alternator that's drained, because my truck does that. And so yeah, that started off my weekend. Where was I even going with this? There was another direction I was going with this.
You're fighting about costumes.
Oh yeah. So when they were charging the battery, I walked Asa over to Walmart to look for a Halloween costume, because Jen makes all the girls but not the boys. And but I didn't have Zyler with me, and Zyler wanted to be Batman, so I found a cool little cute Batman outfit for him. And then there was like this really cool Joker one that fit Asa, and there was only one left, of course. And actually I didn't see it. Asa brought it to me. He's like, "What about this? I could be the Joker." I was like, "All right, actually that would be cool. Batman chasing around Joker, and kind of cute." And yeah, no, Jen shot that down. She's like, "Nope, not doing it. no jokers. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man. And so yeah, she put the squash on that, and so now they're both gonna be Batman. So I'm gonna have Batman chasing around older Batman, or I don't know. So yeah, that's our kid costume situation for this year.
That's who you should go as. You should go as the Grouch from that Saturday Night Live parody.
Dude, yeah. I should, because he's fat. Yes, that's a good one too.
And all you got to do there is just green face paint and a green jacket, right?
I got to go find one of those metal trash can lids, though.
I have one. I can loan you.
I don't have his hair, though. I might be able to find his a wig for him, though. I don't know. Dude, did you watch that, HB? That
what?
SNL skit?
I watched like the first half of it. I had something interrupt. The kids interrupted me, but it was it was good. I liked it.
So you didn't get to the Elmo part then, huh? Because that's right at
no.
the end.
That's the best part
Dude,
of that whole thing.
It's so funny. You'll have to watch it, man.
Yeah, I'll try to. It was well done. Like it was like could have gone. Somebody could have believed it. That it was, a legit movie.
Right. Yeah, if it was just a TV commercial and not on SNL, you'd think it was a trailer.
Yeah.
No. So, yeah, if any of our listeners haven't checked that out, it's on YouTube. Just SNL Sesame Street, I think is what it's called, right?
I think it's called The Grouch.
Oh, The Grouch parody. Yeah. All right, you guys ready to go into Apple Podcast ratings and reviews, emails, and corrections?
Yes.
Time to give a little thanks and appreciation for the emails and Apple Podcast reviews. All right, we don't have any corrections, thank God. No, just
because we're perfect.
We were
so
perfect.
I got a funny story. Sorry, before you go into this, I got a funny story about that.
What's that?
One of my coworkers finally just now started listening to the podcast, and I've been telling her for months that she needed to listen, but she finally listened, and she listened to last week's, and the first thing she instant messaged me, so people are correcting you about time machines.
It's important stuff, man.
It is.
What is wrong with this world? That's good, dude. That's funny.
Yeah.
No, we actually did not receive any corrections. But if you do have them, feel free to send them our way. I have no problem reading those. They're fun and entertaining, and it also gives us a chance to learn. I did find a podcast review. I'm sorry, an Apple podcast rating and reviews that was a little bit older, but I don't think I ever read this one. So I just wanted to make sure that I give credit out for all the reviews that we've gotten. Don't want to leave anybody behind. It goes on to say, well, it's actually titled Great Podcast, and it's from me, space 5. So are they a duplicate? I'm me to the 5th? I guess that's how you could read it, right? So they're like into cloning. Maybe. They're the 5th clone of themselves.
Could be.
Like that Gemini movie, which sounds to be extremely terrible from everything.
The Will Smith one?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess
I totally want to see that.
Really? I've heard the CGI is terrible. The Will Smith Jr., it looks like you're watching a video game. Yeah. Well, anyways, back to the review. So they go on to say, if you like to watch documentaries, it seems like this is all these guys do, and they give some pretty good recommendations. Whoever writes the synopsis always misspells Todd's name. They should be using 2 Ds. HB. Oh. We've had this discussion before, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Because we've both worked with Todd, and I had to
correct it.
It is 1D. So whoever wrote this review, our Todd, spells it with 1D. So you are wrong, sir. Mr. Me number 5. Also, I know there was a really good documentary out there on the Scranton PBS station about the workers at a paper company. That sounds a little familiar.
Yeah, I think I've seen. That's a docu-series, technically. I think,
yeah,
right?
I guess it would be a docu-series. That originally came out of England, right?
Yes.
Yes. So we caught you there on your little documentary about Scranton, PA. I've heard it's a really good, and I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about it.
That's one of my go-tos, actually. When I need to have some brain dead and want to be, doing some housework or something, but just want noise in the background, I go to the Scranton, PA docu-series.
Also known as The Office. All right. You guys, let's go ahead and go into our selections for next week.
During the next section, the co-hosts keep it fresh and spoiler-free as they announce their selections for next week's podcast.
All right, for our selections for next week, Shawn, what you got?
I went with When the Walls Talk, the Whispers Estate documentary. It's from 2017. It's got a runtime of 54 minutes. Directed by J.C. Rositas. 5.1 on IMDb. And it had 2.5 stars on Prime. So pretty much the same rating.
Yeah.
The synopsis is, nestled in a small Indiana town since 1895, Whispers Estate embodies a true paranormal haunting. Turning skeptics into believers, this house proves that its walls do more than just talk. Hear the chilling testimonies of the homeowner, the staff, and numerous visitors, and their encounters with the entities who reside in this home that many claim is alive. It's on Amazon Prime.
Awesome. Cool. You don't have to pay for it, I take it.
No.
Awesome. HB, what do you got for us?
I went with another Prime movie documentary, I should say. Spirits in the Storm. It is 2.5 stars.
Whoa.
On Prime.
On the Prime.
I'm scraping the barrel, but then it has a nice 7.3 on IMDb.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know what's going on there. It's only 2 reviews on Prime. Maybe that's it. It just came out this year.
Yeah.
It's brand new, I guess. A documentary that vividly explores a mysteriously haunted area of Florida that has endured centuries of battles, tragedies, strange events, and a Category 5 hurricane. An historically accurate storyline that weaves lore and legends with human drama. Directed by Brett Gurking. So I thought that'd be kind of cool. I have family in Florida, and I'm always amazed that people live down in that neck of the woods and just get smashed every year by hurricanes and come back for more. So should be interesting.
All right.
So, you guys, I was able to find Titicus Follies, which we did a short documentary on last week. So, if you want to find out more about that documentary, check out episode 39 of Talks on Docs for the documentary called Titicus Follies, and you can find it on Vimeo. If you type into Vimeo's, well, actually, I'll put it on all of our social media outlets as well too. But if you go into Vimeo and search Titicus Follies, full front, no, not full frontal, well, actually, you will get a lot of full frontals in this, unfortunately, of deranged old crazy men. So yeah, prepare yourselves for that. I had to turn it off watching part of it.
Really?
It is, yeah, dude. I don't know what the hell's going on in this documentary. It's weird and different because it's first person. Like, you literally feel like you're in that place, even though it's black and white and old and there's like background static and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is absolutely no narrative going on whatsoever. So you get to a point where you feel like you're first person. So that's where I turned it off. I was like, all right, this is not good. to be feeling like you're in that place with them. So yeah, Vimeo, Titicus Follies, full version. It should bring it up, and I will put it out on all of our social media outlets as well too when I do our selections. It's
Titicus or Titicut?
Or Titicut. I'm sorry, okay. Titicut. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I was trying to put like a Greek spin on it or something. That will do it for our selections for next week. We're going to go ahead into our short doc of the week.
Keeping it short and snappy, a quick look and conversation on a few short subject docs.
All right, for our short for this week, you can find it on YouTube, and it's kind of a documentary, kind of not. It's titled "The 7 Creepiest Things Caught on Security Cameras," or CCTV, closed caption television.
Yeah.
And so they have a top 7. It starts off with number 7. It goes down to number 1. We only went through 1 through 3, and it's got
7 through 3.
Yeah, 7 through 3. I'm sorry. Thanks. Shawn, which one was the scariest to you?
I think the scariest one was the creeper guy that stands at the top of the stairs while you're sleeping on your couch.
Yes.
Like,
I will agree to that.
That freaks me out all the time, I would say. That's why I have an alarm system. Because I'm always worried. Like, every once in a while I'll wake up and somebody left the garage door wide open, or
Yeah.
And all I can say is I'm glad I have an alarm system.
Right. I will echo that. That was definitely the one that was the creepiest and most disturbing one to me, because it was like totally legit. Because they show other footage of that same dude around the neighborhoods and other areas where he's like trying to break into the stuff or whatever. So that one was totally legit, I felt. What about you, HB? Was there one that was outstanding for you or most scariest for you?
That one was pretty scary. It was a close tie, but a close second to the creeper homeless gal living in his crawl space, like in his apartment.
Right.
But
I think that one's fake, man.
Yeah, huge caveat was I don't believe him that it's not. If it is not his girlfriend, I've heard of that. Like, that's the creepy part to me, is my mind gets a little bit into it. Is I've heard of that in houses where people found that and found people basically living in their house.
Yeah.
Like, they figure out their schedule because they have a very consistent schedule, and there's only like one person living there.
Yeah.
And they are like living in, an attic or, an unfinished basement type deal.
Yeah.
And one day they stumble across like basically somebody's little living nook
quarters
inside your house. But yeah, the guy at the top of the stairs, I mean, that was even the creeper with the mask.
Yeah, that one's weird.
If somebody's really, that means he's probably walking, like, he's probably looked in every window of your house.
Yeah.
My thought, it was like somebody just messing with him, like walking home from work or something. Like they worked a swing shift or something.
But he comes by at like 3 times around midnight.
Oh yeah, and then he comes back
and
at
then
4.
At 4 a.m. Like, he is the neighborhood creeper. He's probably doing it to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But when does the little creepiness turn into, I'm going to reach in and tickle their cheek because they sleep right next to the window and they leave it open? Like, that creeps me the F out. Like, I close my all my blinds and everything at night just for that concept. I don't want people to know what's going on in my house, whether I'm there or not.
See,
and an alarm.
An alarm, yeah.
And those exterior cameras, they're so slow. Like, if somebody's quick, you can go and you could ring my doorbell and be gone,
right,
and not get picked up on the camera. If you're fast enough.
I've got raccoons and skunks and cats on my front door one a lot.
Yeah, I catch like motion, but a lot of the times you can't even see what it was, and then a bee will set it off or something else too.
Dude, our listeners probably think we're living in the freaking wilderness, man. You're talking about raccoons and.
We're not. Just last week, I'm working at like 1 a.m. and one walks right across Sullivan Lane, like a pretty busy neighborhood.
Oh.
Right at Sullivan and G, just goes moseying down the sidewalk like he's headed to 7-Eleven. Big old fatty.
I saw a doe on the Moana exit.
Wow. That's like one of the most busiest intersections.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a doe. I was like, what the? You are lost, dude.
Yeah. And then we'll get like the occasional mountain lions that come into downtown.
Yeah. Horses, a lot of wild horses down by you guys, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They, like I said last week, they wake me up in the middle of the night, freaking either fighting or, getting it on. Horsey style.
I like this little thing though, but yeah, most of them in this little doc are pretty explainable. I'm sorry, the first one, that is a dude walking by your house, and your cameras aren't catching his lower half. Like, nothing ghostish about that at all.
All right, so the one that you mentioned about the creepy lady that comes out of the door in the ceiling or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Where I was like, okay, this is fake, is when they talk about her pissing in the sink.
Yeah, what was that about?
And then he comes in and gets a drink of water out of that same sink. He's not going to smell that piss. No, he gets a drink
out of the fridge.
No, he was standing at that sink.
Well, yeah.
And he doesn't smell that piss in the sink?
It's
she didn't
fresh.
Run the water. She didn't flush that.
Fresh piss doesn't smell that bad. It's when it dries.
No, dude, you're gonna smell that, man. Fresh piss into your sink, you're gonna smell that. I mean, you okay? We all have kids. You've changed diapers. How long does a smelly, pissy diaper? You can smell that in a room.
Well, yeah, but when it just happens, it goes down the drain.
No, it's fake. I'd smell that piss all day long.
This guy is clearly not very observant, though.
Yeah, like they go off camera in the same direction. How far away could she have hidden?
Right.
Yeah.
He obviously walked within like a foot or two of her, probably.
Right.
And she's homeless. That's the part that gets me. He would have smelled her.
Yeah. Right.
You'd probably smell her before you'd smell the urine.
Exactly. Enough homeless people, they do not. Yeah.
Yes. No, I know.
Use deodorant.
I am well aware of what homeless people smell like.
Although maybe when he's gone, she takes a shower and gets all cleaned up.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Uses his soap and everything, his bar of soap.
Yeah. Oh, I got these short and curlies, man.
Wait a minute. These are not mine. As he's pulling out the rat hairs out of the out of the drain.
Yeah, all I could think that was Manhattan. Before that one started, and they said he was in New York, I was like, well, we just watched the Rats documentary, and it's probably going to be a rat thing.
Yes. Like I said, I was kind of flirting the lines there with the documentary. I mean, it is documenting some things if they're totally legit and real.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes in line with some of the with Wrinkles the Clown. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to go ahead and go into our breakdown.
Prepare to be spoiled. In the breakdown section, our co-hosts go deeper into the conversation and truly express their thoughts on the documentaries.
We're going to go ahead and go into our breakdown. Any volunteers of going first? Well, Shawn, let's go with yours.
Yeah, let's go with mine first. Okay, so I had Jack Pierce, the maker of Monsters. This was from 2015. Had a runtime of 1 hour and 22 minutes. Jack Pierce, Universal Studios' legendary makeup man. His amazing ability to create makeups that have stood the test of time is worth a closer look, creating Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, Mummy, Wolfman, Bride of Frankenstein, and countless other monsters. This documentary, drawn from recorded interviews, historical footage, photos, including Pierce's personal scrapbooks and news clippings. It was directed by Stefan Taylor.
Let's give a quick rating, everybody. Shawn?
I'd give this a recommend. Not super enthusiastic about it, but it was worth watching.
Okay, HB?
It's a very weak recommend.
All right.
Very weak.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you, HB. Low recommend. It felt like it seemed like it was somebody's term paper that was changed into a documentary.
Yeah, I actually felt like this was a film school, like for people going to film school to watch. You know, like this, it's got some cool history and the classic studio, kind of how studios worked, and it's cool to hear about the things that Jack Pierce did and his story, but it's not super engaging. It's a well put together documentary, but it's not something you just really grabs you.
Mm-hmm. Well, the narrative is so fast at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was very fast-paced narrative, and if they had stretched that out, because it almost gets to a point where you don't even have narrative anymore.
Yeah.
You're basically just watching old footage or film of characters that Jack had done the costume work for or makeup for. And it's like if they could have just not been so fast and quick on the narrative at the beginning, because it literally felt like that they were reading a term paper.
Yeah.
As fast as they could, like they were nervous about it or something. And I mean, they even tried to throw in some like voice acting into it as well too. That was kind of cute and silly. But yeah, it just seemed very rushed at the beginning, and then you just got into this kind of repetitive pattern of showing the films that Jack was a part of doing the costumes through. And then we got that quick history of kind of like how Universal got bought out by big corporate, and they got away with the
horror stuff.
Yeah, the horror movies and stuff. And then who was it that picked it up? It was like another like.
It was just theaters were showing them.
Yeah, re-releasing them.
Yeah, and they showed Frankenstein and Dracula.
Yeah.
Back to back, like in a double feature, and it sold out, so they started making them again.
Yeah, because then they came back with the Bride of Frankenstein, or was that before?
It was the Ghost of Frankenstein,
Son of Frankenstein.
Son of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I got a little.
There was 12 total Frankenstein movies.
Wow.
They think we're repetitive these days.
Yeah. That almost beats Jason. Or Freddy.
Only 8 Fast and the Furious.
Right. Yeah, I told my wife back in the day they used to ride a horse until it was dead.
Yes. And then they'd kick it down the road some more.
He'd get his kid. Yeah. Yeah, I thought this one was, like you're saying, it was very repetitive. At the beginning I was pretty interested. And then there came a point when I was watching it, I literally they would show the still of the movie that they're going to show, and and then they would start playing the clips in that like picture-in-picture thing they were doing.
Yeah.
And I would just hit the plus, like the 10-second advance.
Yeah.
Until they got to the next one, and they're like, "Oh, okay, that's a cool movie too." All right, 10-second advance. Like it just.
Right. Yeah.
It was sad because he did good work. He did amazing work.
Right. This definitely could have been a short documentary. A really good short documentary.
Yeah, for sure. So how do you like that Universal Studios basketball team went to the Olympics and won the gold?
Yeah, but anybody that went lost their jobs for going to a Nazi Olympics.
I know, that was insane.
Because he didn't go. He's like, nope, deuces, I'm out making money.
I'll keep my job instead of going to salute Hitler.
Yeah, and how does Olympics. What kind of basketball? I guess it's the birth of basketball back then. It's before, Wooden and all the UCLA stuff. But, like, really? Like, just, like, company pickup games turn into an Olympic team? Like,
right.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy, though.
Yeah.
This did have 2 greatest moments in it. Did you guys
catch it? I was listening. When?
Oh, my gosh, they're back to back.
Yeah. So when they were interviewing Jack Pierce about Frankenstein, he said, "This character's been the greatest of all monstrous man or any entity portrayed in a motion picture." And then right after that, they showed the trailer, and it said the greatest horror the screen has ever shown.
Yeah, so it was written even. So you obviously did not watch this, HB. I mean,
I did.
They said it and wrote it in front of you, man.
I thought there was one in the very beginning, like the first intro. I literally re-listened to the first minute intro because I thought I caught one.
Yeah. No, it was it was literally back to back. I was in the middle of writing the note down for when Jack says it, and he's he's well past he's retired and everything. He's in his late 60s when he's doing this interview, and he talks about Frankenstein being the greatest, and then as I'm writing it down, I look up at the screen and there it is again. I was like, oh, there we go.
I was hoping too. This week I was really paying attention. I was trying to find one because I don't know if I've found one that's not blatantly obvious.
Yeah, that one was just. It was at the very beginning of the sentence too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was the first time. Well, I think what caught me was that it was the first time that we heard Jack's voice too.
Yeah,
which I thought was cool. I was like, oh, cool. We get to listen to some of his voice and interview with him, because I felt like that's part of what was missing. We had tons of pictures of him, millions of pictures of him. Mm-hmm. He loved it.
And how do you like that he used to wear a surgeon's uniform to do his makeup in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I caught that as being. I was like, people are being really nice about him. I think he was a royal a-hole.
Yeah.
Like, I think he was very strict. Don't you blink and move,
Right.
I think he was a pretty hardcore into his craft.
Right, and then how about the guys that did the Mummy and the Werewolf? Freaking 8 hours being underneath.
Plus actually
him.
Filming after getting the makeup.
Right. I wonder how many days they did of shooting where they had to be under costume for 8 hours. Of just sitting there getting costume put on, makeup put on.
Yeah, they were talking about, I think it was the Wolfman was talking about, he would come in at 2 a.m. for an 8 o'clock shoot.
Yeah.
And then they'd work all day, and then he'd go home, and then come back at 2 o'clock in the morning.
He had it much worse than the Mummy, because the Mummy comes out of the costume at some point.
Well, and then he was talking about when they did the transition, it was 22 hours of shooting. Because when he was transitioning into the Wolfman, because, he'd have to sit, and they'd take a little bit of the makeup off, and they'd take pictures. And then they... Oh, man.
Yes.
Well, and he complains about the unions, because that, makes that virtually impossible.
Yeah.
Once they're unionized, hey, we need breaks, we're not working longer than an 8-hour day, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you couldn't do that today. There's no way you could get somebody to sit for 22 hours.
No.
You CGI.
Yeah, just CGI this, man. The chimpanzee, I thought that was funny. They were talking about...
They thought it was so realistic.
They thought it was real. It's so impressive how they've made a chimpanzee act like a human so well. Maybe because
but it was clearly
a
person. Come on. You thought Planet of the Apes was real too, didn't you? The original.
Is that the real Statue of Liberty on the beach?
Yeah.
Right. All right, let's go ahead and go on to our next doc, and that'll be mine. It was Wrinkles the Clown, and you can find it on Amazon. You are going to have to pay for this one. It's $4. Or, no, it was $5 or $6?
$6.
Yeah, $6. Oh, no, somebody's going to correct me on that one, because I think I said $4 last week, huh?
Yeah, you did.
All right. Thanks for the correction, Shawn. Bring it up next week. Wrinkles the Clown, you can be found on Prime and now in theaters. Well, it's out of theaters now. It's on Prime. Started with a YouTube video, a sleeping child oblivious to the clown slowly emerging from underneath the bed. Soon, more mysterious videos surfaced. Wrinkles the Clown explores the internet phenomenon and the hysteria it inspired. It had 3 out of 5 stars on Prime and a 4.5 out of 10 rating out of 159 votes on IMDb, and I think that's because people got pissed off like I did with this documentary. So let's go ahead and start talking about this one, and let's keep it spoiler free up to the point where I think you guys know where I get pissed off at the twist of this mother effing documentary that pissed me off.
It was a really good twist. I liked it.
Oh, dude,
it didn't piss me off. I liked it.
It's like, you gotta be freaking kidding me.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like the twist.
Okay. All right, we'll get into that. So, let's go ahead and give a rating, everybody. HP.
Well, I'd give it a recommend.
Recommend. Shawn?
I'll give it a strong recommend. I enjoyed this.
Yeah. Even though I got pissed off, a strong recommend for me as well, too. Because, oh, man. The twist is freaking pissed me off.
That old guy fits.
Don't spoil it.
Oh, yeah.
He fits, though. He is the
totally.
creepiest old guy living in his van.
Yeah.
Oh, it's perfect. Yeah.
I was like, he's sitting there at that one scene in the hotel room, just like white wife beater.
Yeah.
Looks like he's wearing his boxers, drinking natty ice.
Yeah.
Yep.
And eating boneless chicken wings, like smuts all over his shirt.
Yeah.
Just answering the phone. Hey.
So, let's go back to the beginning. First, I want to talk about the music. The music score on this was incredible. It definitely was creepy feeling. and matched all the scenes. It was a very well put together documentary. Loved the opening. At the very opening of the documentary, you get that first closed caption TV scene of the girl in the bed, and it's a black and white, and you see this little girl sleeping on the bed, and she's got like one of those beds where there's drawers underneath it, and you see the drawers start to open up, and he obviously pops out, and the girl kind of wakes up for a second and like kind of looks around, but then like falls right back to sleep, and then he continues to creep out of this thing, and then goes up to the camera and then places his hand over the camera, and then you're left with this mystery of what happens after that. So it sets you off at the beginning very well of like having that creepy feeling, which I really liked. His makeup was very similar to like Joker, as in the Joker movie, so it kind of had that very real feeling to the Joker movie. And I talked about this in the other episodes. Is like this stuff that happens in this documentary is very much stuff that is very possibly real, and that's what makes it so spooky and eerie feeling and disturbing, is because it's so close to home or so real feeling. So that's why this documentary gives a very deep, creepy, eerie feeling to you, because of how real this stuff actually can be or happen. Then we get into scenes of the calls. You go through this a couple of minutes of like listening to the parents call in to Wrinkles the Clown. Did anybody have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so you didn't describe them correctly. It's the calls from the terrible parents who have no business having children.
Right. Thank you very much for that correction, and I'm glad we're all on the same page.
Oh, man. I mean, come on. You're really going to try and scare your kids straight by saying this clown's going to come and eat you?
Right. Yeah. Kidnap you and eat you?
And you have no parental power. Like, that's one of the first rules I learned as a parent. You're giving up all your parental discipline power to a stupid make-believe clown.
Yeah.
You know, well, you're not going to do anything to me, Dad. You have to get Wrinkles to do your dirty work. Like,
yeah. But then you have the kids in the background. You can hear them screaming bloody murder.
Well, then you know that these kids probably told the parents about Wrinkles to begin with. So obviously the parents are, once again, reaffirming their awesomeness by letting their kids surf the web into God knows what areas of the, World Wide Web.
Yeah.
And, so I'm sure that's just, and I mean, back to the original, like, footage of him, like, just everybody's scared to death of him.
Yes.
But all he does is stand there or walk by, or it's all like a presence. There's nothing threatening, like weapons or violence or anything. It is complete, like, urban legend just spinning a web around him. And he's just a creepy, Wrinkles the Clown.
No.
Well, he talks about, towards the end of the doc, he talks about, all I did was I made one video or 3 videos and put out a bunch of stickers that had my phone number on it.
Right.
And that's all it took for this thing to just go insane.
Absolutely viral. Yeah. I was just amazed at how many of these parents were cursing in front of their kids.
Oh,
I mean, just using every terrible word you could use in front of your kids.
Yeah.
You could tell that the kids were like under 9 years old.
Oh yeah. And that one little girl is her mom's standing there, and she's playing the recording of what she said to Wrinkles the Clown on the phone and cussing and everything else. And I think she was 8.
Yes.
She was 8 years old.
Yes. My 13-year-old doesn't even know those words, I don't think.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah. And she just kind of they have this attitude of like, well, they're going to get into stuff. The crazy kid that seems decent, who likes the crazy clown gory masks.
Yes.
The dad's just kind of like, well, you tell them you don't want them to look at that, but then they do, so you hope you've taught them well enough.
Yeah. Nothing you can do to stop them.
Yeah, that guy needs to watch the Slender Man video.
Yes.
Because that guy needs to know what the consequences are.
Right. That kid was acting out like crime scenes of what he's going to do.
And
like,
at night,
how I'm going to kill people.
Yeah, somebody got him a look-alike Rambo knife. Like, that's good. That's a good idea.
Right. Yeah, and that creepy clown mask. It's like, how old was he? He wasn't even like 8.
No, I think that one was 12.
Really? He was a small 12-year-old then.
Yeah, I think that one was 12.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, he's small for a 12-year-old.
But even the dad was like, he puts on these masks and he becomes another person.
Right.
And that's okay with you, Dad? Like, that is fine with you. It's called, you take that mask and you shred it.
Right. Yeah, that kid's definitely going to be on America's Most Wanted in about 15 years, and we're going to be watching documentaries on him and doing him being a homicidal subject.
But yeah, I thoroughly, on to Wrinkles, I thoroughly got a kick out of that guy. At first, I was like, no way. You're a retiree and you just decide, I'm going to be a clown.
I'm going to live down by the river in a van. My favorite, Chris Farley.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But he just fit it, I ain't going to show you my face. I don't want people to know who the hell I am.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they showed like every part of him except for where he had his sunglasses, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, if I drive through Florida, I'm gonna spot the guy. Right? Clearly, hey, look, there's Wrinkles the Clown.
Yeah. And
he's
his
in that
van.
random dead end.
Right. So, Shawn, did you find any good in this documentary? Like, what was the plus of this documentary? Like, what could we learn from? Because you always have like a learning point. It seems like
a learning point. Yeah. Don't be a terrible parent.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it's funny how just something like this can just take off and go insane. Because I remember there was spooky clowns, scary clown sightings everywhere. I mean, I remember here in Reno hearing about spooky clown sightings.
Yeah, I responded to
the
that nonsense.
Guy holding a balloon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those.
Are they having any more of those, HB?
Not that I've heard of, no. I don't think anything's going I totally didn't know of Wrinkles, but I think it was a spoof of him, because I remember it was just a clown holding a red balloon.
Yeah. Like It kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of like It. Yeah, mixed with a little wrinkle, yeah.
Well, and the remake of It came out like right after that or right before that? It was right around the same time.
Yeah, it was all that was happening before It came out. But everybody knew It was coming out, so. So did you guys ever have any like family members or your parents' friends that would like threaten you with weird things like, "Oh, I'm gonna call Wrinkles the Clown and take care of you if you don't behave inside my house"? Did you guys have anything like that?
No.
No, I never did.
So my uncle, he always threatened to flush my head down the toilet when I started acting out.
That's mature.
What?
That's mature.
Right. You better start acting up or I'm going to flush your head down the toilet. All right there, Uncle Ricky.
Like give you a swirly or decapitate you?
I don't know. I never found out. And then my mom and dad's friends, he always threatened to stick my head in the oven, which was even more creepy.
Oh my God.
You better calm down there. I'm going to come down there and stick your head in the oven. Okay. Oh, shut up.
Wow.
Yeah, those were the threats I got as a little kid, and I've tried using them on my kids.
Did it work?
No, I have not, because it's just a little bit disturbing. I don't know. I'm traumatized by it. I don't want to traumatize my kids. Thinking Daddy's gonna stick my head in the oven.
This is the parenting in this movie. Like Sarah and I talked about it. I'm just like, how do these parents rationalize it and then go on a documentary and talk about how this is A-okay? It's not child abuse,
right?
Yeah.
But I was glad
I'm not leaving marks,
right? But I was glad that the documentary covered or talked to psychologists to show that professional psychologists did not agree with this tactic, and that it would probably be more damaging to their kids down the road. So that was a good little taste that they added to it that I appreciated.
Did you notice they interviewed the same guy that they interviewed in the Slender Man video?
Yes!
Talking about myths and yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Blank. I can't remember his first name, like Tony. Tony?
Oh, is that his, yeah, I didn't catch his name. But
yeah, it was cool to see him again. Yeah, he was in the Slender Man. Yeah, did you catch that, HB?
He looked very familiar, but I honestly thought he looks a lot like that superhero character. My brain's totally blank with the beard, goatee, and the fat guy.
Well, did you notice that he's a huge fan of the dude? Of what's his name's character?
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, Bridges.
Lebowski.
Yeah, Lebowski. Like if you look at the action figures in his office, and he even has a bobblehead of the dude on his desk.
I'm a dude, man.
Yeah, and yeah, he even tries to dress and look like the dude. So.
Yeah, it was interesting because this morning, getting ready in LA as we were leaving the room, we had Good Morning America on, and they did this big expose on TikTok and the dangers that it poses to your children, and why you shouldn't, allow your children to be on TikTok. I had no clue what TikTok was besides knowing the name.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. Do you guys know? Have you guys heard of TikTok as an app?
I've just seen the commercials for it. That's all.
Yeah. Well, then they show some clips, and it can be risque, and it can be all sorts of things that, and it's just these parents that at times I'm like, really? Do you just check out? Do you just get your iPad and let them do whatever? And I guess they do, because I see parents that give them their phone. And I'm like, okay, there's no restrictions on your phone. It's different if the kid has a phone or an iPad maybe that has hopefully some parental settings put in place or something. But obviously parents aren't doing that today. Like, I don't get how parents are surprised when their kid gets nightmares and talks about stuff like that, Wrinkles is waking them up at night, or, somebody on TikTok is saying they're going to come and rape them and drag them to the beach or bury them and murder them. Like, come on, like, invest. Like, people are just checking out as parents.
Yeah. That reminds me, there's a documentary out there that goes over another app that's very similar, or in reference to TikTok. I'll have to bring it up, remind me down the road, but it's, I can't remember the name of the documentary right now, but the app is literally like, it's really big with the teenagers, where they can get onto the app and then listen to live conversations that teenagers are having with other teenagers, and they'll build like a group of people. So it'll be like two teenagers talking about their relationship, and there'll be like hundreds of other teenagers throughout the United States just like listening into this live conversation. And it's all video. It's on video. And
it's like a FaceTime.
Yeah, it's like FaceTime, but people can drop in on your FaceTime thing and watch it live.
So you must give access to that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is like some of these people have become, like, I guess, famous on this app, these teenagers, where other teens will get up at like 2 o'clock in the morning to get in line to get on the app to watch certain teens talk about certain things with their friends.
It's like the whole
ridiculous, dude. It is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, it's like the YouTube thing. I heard it was a few years ago. People watching on YouTube, watching other people play video games.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's huge, man.
Oh, they still do that. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was like, okay, cool. They're like showing you like some cheats or something, like some Zelda, like burn down this bush and you get the.
Right.
No, it's just them playing for an hour and talking, maybe.
Yep.
That is stupid. Why don't you play your own damn game?
Yeah, instead of watching somebody else play it on YouTube.
Yeah, if you're being lazy, at least get some, your own laziness experience.
Yeah, millions of views on that crap. Yeah, I don't know, man. You guys will get freaked out about this other documentary. I'll have to find it out and do it as my selection down the road. But, all right, so let's break into this massive twist on this documentary that I was pissed because I can't believe I fell for this. So, I don't know how many more minutes are left. It's definitely like, I guess, the third chapter.
Half hour.
Yeah, the third chapter of this documentary. You find out, how do they reveal it? It's
they just all of a sudden show Wrinkles' face. They just pan up. Wrinkles is doing his barbecue at the van.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they just show him. You're like, what? What? You're showing Wrinkles?
Yeah. And then they give his name.
Yeah. And then you see the actor, and they start talking about the actor of who actually did all the acting for Wrinkles, and how they like set up the whole scenes of with this actor, like with that very first closed caption television of the little girl's room and how like the little girl was in on it and like the whole thing was absolutely set up.
Well, that wasn't even Wrinkles because he couldn't fit in the damn drawer. It was like some random smaller person.
Yeah. Which, oh my gosh, dude.
Which I think was the girl's dad.
Oh, was it? I thought it was like
I think so. Because I think it was his friend.
Oh, yeah.
And it was his friend's daughter. So I'm pretty sure it was the girl's dad.
Right. Because he was the only one that could fit in it. Jeez. Yeah, but then you really don't ever know who the true Wrinkles is.
Well, yeah, then there's the double spoof of the guy with the changed voice at the end of the hall.
Yes.
Just the Black Shadow Man.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, so you get double spoofed on this, or double twist on this, is that, then there's another person who ultimately is the true Wrinkles.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
And then he's getting phone calls from kids where he's all nice to them. You know?
Oh, totally.
The kids are like, "We love you, Wrinkles." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, good. I hope you guys are having a good day."
Yeah, I'm having a good time. He's still a jerk. I mean, I like his commentary. Like, all right, last one. I got to pee.
Right. But, dude, that would drive me insane of how many calls he got, because they're, like, in the millions.
Yeah. I totally believe that the old guy wasn't Wrinkles. Because even before they did the spoof, I'm like, he's not texting and answering these fuckers on a flip phone.
Yeah.
No, it is not. You're not speed texting anybody on a flip phone, and you are like 65.
Dude, I was totally duped, man.
You're not down. That part, I was like, I am not buying this. Like and then I'm like, you're living in I'm like, when is he gonna start like rolling like baller style? Because he's making all this money. Like he's so famous. He's obviously getting called. He's getting all these phone. He should be able to afford like at least like the high end like weekly hotel.
Right.
Not in his van. He shouldn't be living in the van. And I totally
by the river.
And I questioned like the van was clean for living in your van. That was a clean living in your van. Yeah. Like when you live in a van for any period of time, that thing is nasty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're right.
And it was always clean. Like he fires up that egg on that pan, and that pan is like pristine. Yeah. I'm like, no, you're not homeless. Where are you washing this dish out?
Right.
You should be scraping the old eggs out and then just cooking these on top. So that stuff, I raised questions. I still didn't think like he's not Wrinkles. He's just stupid enough.
You definitely paid more attention than I did because I was freaking stupid by it, dude. I just bought all into it.
How about him going to the strip club?
Yes, which I was going to bring up. If you have issues with watching strip club scenes, there's like a quick, maybe 15 seconds, maybe 30 seconds scene
30 seconds.
Of old crinkly Wrinkles the Clown sitting in front of in a strip club, and you see everything that you would see in a normal strip club. So,
and what does he say? I can't go very often because it's kind of expensive, and I can't afford to have a real girlfriend. So.
Right. Yeah, and that right there, I was like, no, you're Wrinkles. You're famous. You should be working like all the time. You should be loaded. Like how's he getting paid through PayPal? And then I'm like, no, he's got a flip phone. He can't get paid through PayPal. Wrinkles only takes cash.
So he can use it at the strip club.
But so this goes back to Slender Man too. Like, I'm sorry, maybe we grew up with not having the internet. We were spoiled by like you couldn't research anything. Like you didn't have more computing power than they had on the freaking NASA missions in the palm of your hand. When we were kids, like they do now.
Yep.
But like Slender Man, it came out in 2000 teens, and then this came out in the 2000s, and these kids are falling for it like it's like of any sort of repute, like real, like this guy's gonna show up somewhere and like this lore. I'm just you stumble upon something, but then you don't dig any deeper.
No,
you don't look. You take the face value. You literally take it at the cover and just believe it.
Yeah. And
it just amazes me how like gullible today's like internet succubus children are. They just take it in and like it's gospel to them. Like they're idiots. Complete vegetative morons.
Yeah.
And then their parents give them the phone and go, "Can you fix this?"
Right. Yeah, exactly.
All right, you guys ready for our last one here?
Yes.
All right, HBU had our last one. We're going to go over. Go ahead.
Well, mine was Rats, 2016 documentary film made by Morgan Spurlock. He, in this one, finds inspiration from Robert Sullivan's New York Times bestseller book, Rats. Venturing into rat-dominated environments, this documentary brings you face-to-face, literally, with the little, misunderstood creatures that live and breathe all around you. Yeah, this was one. I was worried at first that, like, Morgan Spurlock, I love his Super Size Me and some of his other stuff, but I really didn't want it to be too dominated by him, and it wasn't. Like, he's not. You wouldn't know this is his movie unless you read the byline. So
right.
But it takes you from like your basic neighborhood all the way up to like New York, Dubai, India, and some of the most. Mumbai. By the end of it, what's that?
No, Mumbai. I'm sorry, I said Dubai.
Mumbai, not Dubai.
Yeah. Some place in India, the Karni Mata temple. That ended with, I literally looked at my wife and I was like, that's why I would never do Eat, Pray, Love and all that mumbo jumbo.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that literally was the Eat, Pray, Love temple. Like, you're on your hands and knees cleaning the floor and rats are running across it behind you saying thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And eating your food. But so I thought this was, I definitely give it a recommend. I think almost required, because if you live in New York or a big city, an old East Coast big city especially, it's important to realize like all these different places that rats live and things that are triggers and things that they look for and the places they live and hide. And it's I don't see how New York's given it a valiant battle, I think, but I don't see how they're hoping to win.
How do you win? Yeah.
Well, and the rats they're literally pouring poison in the park while the kids are playing down these rat holes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's great. None of the kids have ever like stuck their fingers down there and like tasted some rat poison.
Right.
Yeah, they are literally poisoning the ground in the park.
Yeah. All the way up to, the idiots of, Mumbai that are like playing stretchy rat like games.
Oh my gosh.
And
yes.
So they go to Mumbai. Yeah, and they go to Mumbai and they talk about this crazy, these ghettos and how they have such a crazy rat problem and everybody's getting eaten alive and, getting sick from all these bacteria. And then they talk about, these dads, it looks like basically, that go out and decide they're going to get paid as night patrol rat killers. And I'm like, okay. And I'm waiting for them to gear up like the New York folks did or anything.
Right.
And they're out there in like leather flip-flops and slacks and shirts, just what you'd regularly expect somebody in Mumbai to wear, I guess.
Yeah.
And they have nets. And they're reaching down there, this is how you keep them from biting you. As he reaches down and grabs the damn thing with his bare hands. No, that's what you do to get bitten, you genius.
Yeah.
And then the way he kills them, he doesn't want blood. God forbid there's blood.
Right.
He stretches them like, a slinky. And you hear that cracking of their bones. Oh my gosh. But then, and then smacks them on the ground just for good measure sometimes.
Yeah.
And they literally are just,
So this was my favorite part, because I call that the Doug method of extermination. So when I was in Kuwait, our tents had we had a massive rat problem. I think we killed 17 rats.
Really?
And 2 snakes in our tent.
Wow.
And we had a running tally. But one day, so typically we were just killing them with normal snap traps. And one day, Lieutenant comes down and says, hey, they want us to use these instead. And he gives us these glue traps. You guys ever used a glue trap?
Yes.
I've used them at my house.
They're the worst thing ever invented.
Yes, they are.
This big old desert rat gets 2 feet stuck in the thing, and he's dragging the glue trap all around the tent.
Yep.
And so my squad, one of my team leaders, walks in the tent, and he was kind of a redneck. He's probably the most well-educated redneck I've ever met, because he's a environmental biologist or something like that. So,
wow.
but he's a big old redneck too. So he walks in the tent, and I look at him and I go, Doug, take care of that. And so he just reaches down and grabs it and does exactly the same thing as those guys in India.
I would never think of that.
I was like, oh my god.
You're like, what the hell did you just do?
So yeah, that's the Doug method of extermination right there.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen something like that too on some of the tents in our city being picked up. So underneath the rivers, in the winter, they gotta open this vent that's in the ground so that the water can circulate around the truckee. Yep. And there's a lot of the time there were tents camped on top of it. And so we're waiting with the Tumwa guys, and these people are moving their tents. When they actually go, so they pull their tents up and everything, they got their, there's like 4 of them in like a 20-foot little strip. And then they open this vent, and the ground starts slowly flooding. And then you start seeing, and it's river rock. So you really don't see anything but dirt and river rock and water creeping up higher and higher and higher. And then all of a sudden you see rats running for their lives up the hill. We counted like 10 rats, and I look over at these people that were camping there, so to speak, right. And I say, those rats are there because they were sucking the warmth off your body in a nice way, and they probably ate your dog's dog food that you are keeping at your tent,
right?
And so, anyways, but yeah, this by the end of this, I watched this. I was telling Shawn, I watched some of my docs when I downloaded them on the flight before the flights.
Oh, okay.
And so I watched this one on the way to LA. And so I even got to the point where I was like, do you think rats could get in the plane? Like, is it on the ground long enough to be like, would it want to? Is there enough in the plane? We're walking around LA, and I'm just like, there are rats everywhere in this town. Like, just, I'm looking at the hotel, like,
You're looking
it's
for
a nice
piss
place.
Trails.
Exactly. I'm like, we're staying in a nice hotel, but
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was absolutely insane. And the amount of diseases that these things are carrying.
Yes.
Oh yeah, when they're dissecting those ones in New Orleans.
Wait,
yes.
Shawn, we didn't get, what is your recommendation on this one?
Oh, it's almost required, maybe even required. It's really well put together. Right. It's very entertaining. And, other than the subject matter, this is, because you can only look at rats so much, and maybe you don't want to know. Maybe we're better off not knowing. But other than that, this is required.
Yeah, I'm going with required as well, too. Because one thing is the first city that they go to is New York, and you have New Yorkers out there at night, and they're being surprised at how many rats are coming out of these trash bags that are getting kicked by some dude on the corner, and there's like
that angry guy.
Yeah, there's about like 50 rats that are just flowing out of these trash cans or trash bags that are left on the corner of New York. And I mean, that was kind of disturbing in itself. That's how they take care of their trash. But
yeah, exactly. That is you have a rat problem and you stack trash bags on the sidewalk and think you're gonna not have a rat problem. I mean, that's just stupidity.
Yeah, bags.
You got open
not
trash
cans. Bags. Yeah.
All the cans are like that expanded wire, and I mean, you're feeding them. Like you're just stupid.
You literally are like
literally the fresh French bread.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, institute dumpsters. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah. Dude, that guy on the corner though that they come across, he's getting so pissed, man. He's like picking up
more rats than people.
He's picking up the bags and
just
throwing
kicking
them.
that bag, and just every time he kicks it, 20 rats come out of it.
Rushing out.
He describes it like they're running down the street in herds. Like,
he's all full. You really want a show? Come here on Saturday night. You're gonna see hundreds of them. You could shoot them from across the street.
And then he's like, "All right, have a good night."
Yeah, the city guy's like, "Thanks for the info." Okay, just went too far. We're not drive-by shooting rats.
Right.
One city I think they should have gone to for this, because Dirty Jobs, he went to San Fran and did the garbage man's job in San Fran one time.
Oh yeah.
And the way they do their garbage is it's even worse because they have these old buildings, kind of like New York, and they literally just put their trash bags in their hallways
Oh my
of their
gosh.
buildings, and the garbage man will literally go up your whole building like 3, 4, 5 stories.
Wow.
And it's kind of like the landscapers that we see where they put down the big tarps and they put the 4 corners together with the grass.
Yeah.
They do that with like 4, 5, 6 trash bags, and they are huffing it back down. They start at the top, and they're carrying, and then they put them in a big garbage truck, and they're doing whole neighborhoods every night. And I'm just thinking, that's even worse. You're just inviting them right to your doorstep.
Into the building and everything.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
And I wouldn't doubt they do something similar. And, I mean, these buildings are filthy. They said it's a 250-year, I think, rat problem.
Yeah. Yeah, over
basically. But I didn't buy. They said basically rats came from Genghis Khan, I think.
Mongolia, yeah. Genghis Khan. Nice way to reference Mongolia there.
But come on, we had to have some sort of rat animal in the United States. Like, it's a small, like, little animal. I don't think it's specific to any one place.
Well, did they explain that at
the
very end?
I think they're speaking that specific type of rat, I think. Because,
because there's hundreds of species.
Yeah. They say it's actually a rat that eradicated the Black Plague. The one that Ratatouille represents is actually a species of rat that actually killed off the rats that were carrying the Black Plague. There's so many different species of rats.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the long-tailed ones, we don't get those here.
No.
We get the little desert mice or mouse.
The kangaroo mice,
Yeah, but then, I mean, you gotta, the end of this, when they go to India, to that rat-worshipping temple, that just was over the top. I literally, my wife was sitting next to me, which I'm telling her about it, and referencing Eat, Pray, Love, and how that's even more horrible now, even though I didn't like the concept to begin with.
Yeah.
Of the guy sitting next to his, like, mountains of rats and drinking the milk that they are, like, drinking and falling and peeing and pooping in. Yeah. It is good. It's good. It's my family. My family can't be dirty, so why can't I drink it? I tell Sarah that, and I'm like, she's like, what? My brother's filthy. Of course my family can be dirty. Like, anybody's family can be dirty.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, yeah, for anybody who watches this after listening to this or decides that this is something that they'd be interested in, I strongly suggest don't eat any food before watching this, because I watched this on my lunch break and I was thankful that I actually didn't eat anything, because there's a lot of stuff that's definitely going to turn your stomach no matter who you are.
Well, and your job relates to some of this stuff.
Oh yeah, we haven't come across, like, I mean, you kind of mentioned it earlier, these type of rats, we really don't have that type of issue here locally. We'll have raccoons and skunk and wild horse issues, but monster super rats we don't really deal with. But I did have that situation, I think I've talked about it on this documentary, where the guy next door to me, the house was empty for years and years because it went into foreclosure. Guy bought it and started renovating it, and during the renovation he ripped out all the walls and everything, and all the rats, or not rats, but mice that had created families and stuff in that house had swarmed northwards towards my house. And I literally caught like 12 mice in one night. It was just absolutely disgusting. So that's the closest I've gotten to anything of this. But yeah, I mean, back to the documentary. I loved how so HB, you listened to it with your headphones on then, right?
Yeah.
Dude, this is pretty intense with your headphones on. How'd you listen to it, Shawn?
I watched it on the TV.
Oh, did you? Okay, because they did an amazing job with the sound effects.
Yeah.
It's almost
the rat sounds.
Yes, almost literally through the entire documentary, there's this like high chirping rat sound that's constantly going on, and it's like going back through your left and right ear, or your left and right ear sound. Yeah, so it's like you constantly feel like there's rats surrounding you.
Yeah. And another character in the documentary that they go back and forth by is the the exterminator guy, the old.
Oh yeah,
that guy's awesome.
Oh, I loved it. I've been doing it for 50 years, and he's got his experiment with the 4 rats that he feeds, and then once they get up to 52 rats in their little community, I cut off the food.
Yeah.
And they just start eating each other and eating their babies, and he was and talking about them biting. They'll bite you and they'll kill you. As a person. And, if we all die, the rats are going to be left behind.
I tell you what, Spurlock needs to do a horror movie, just like a straight-up horror movie, because he knows how to set up those scenes and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was tons of jump scare shots at the very beginning. It's like, this is a documentary. You're not supposed to have jump scares.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But he did such a good job at directing this thing and putting it together that you're just like, oh, geez, what the hell? So, yeah, this is a good one for... At first, I was kind of skeptical if this was going to kind of fit into the whole horror, Halloween, spooky. But, man, this one definitely gets the jump scare going on, that's for sure.
Yeah. Life cycle of a mouse is 3 weeks, the gestation period.
Yeah.
So in 3 weeks, they can crank out 10 babies, and 3 weeks later, there's 10 more.
And then 10 more times that 10 more.
Yeah, just exponentially.
Yeah, exponentially.
And then you could eat it. You could live in Vietnam and basically eat it. Yeah. That was unbelievable. Like, nobody wants to touch rats here. Like, it's a big thing. We have, our hantavirus concerns and whatnot. These people are, picking them up by the handful, hanging on to them, dunking them, cooking them in the kitchen, hacking them up.
Oh, they show the whole process too. That's the crazy thing.
But
they know they're eating it. They know they're eating rat.
Right. Yeah. But this is the beauty of this documentary, is that it builds that disgust in you from the very beginning. Because, you see them living in the city of New York and running around in the trash. But then you go to New Orleans, and then you meet the scientists.
That was good. I liked all that science. I was a little disturbed, but I liked the science.
And then you learn that there's like over 5 million viruses in just 1 foot of a rat. And then they start cutting these rats up, and they're like describing every cut that they're making, And
the bug, that bug that was germinating inside.
Oh yeah,
the fruit fly or something.
Yeah, and then the fly thing. Oh,
yes,
it's like pulsating.
Yes, they pull it's a larva. It's a maggot larva that they pull out of a rat. The larva is still like moving and alive and pulsating, and they put it into some type of saline.
Yeah.
And it's still like pulsating and moving, and then you have all these scenes of where they're pulling out live worms out of their lungs. And we're not talking we're talking about like almost an inch long worm.
Oh yeah, inch or two, yeah.
Yeah, out of the rat lungs. And it's not one, it's like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And these rats can live with all these viruses and tapeworms and diseases and everything, and it doesn't affect the rat.
Yeah.
But they can very easily bite one human and then cause a pandemic, Yeah. Wipe out half of the world,
Well, and how about the method they're using in England that's about as inefficient as you get? They caught like 3 rats. There's got to be hundreds living at these, farms and eating the fields. Yeah. And they get the damn dogs on them, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, the rat terrier thing.
Yeah.
I love the line. He goes, "You don't have to train a terrier to catch rats."
It's just entertainment for them, man. That's all that was.
Yeah. But once again, they're just in there hands deep, like, smacking the dog, pulling the rat out of his mouth, guts all like distended.
Right.
Like, who's not going to get sick here?
Right.
Like.
Yeah.
Different ways throughout the world.
Yeah, the rats are definitely going to be the death of us after watching this thing, man.
Oh, totally. Well, that's how we're going to all get zombified. We're going the wrong rat, like the cocktail of bacteria is going to create the first zombie.
Right.
So I would say the one mistake Spurlock made in this is the card. The cover for this movie should be all those taxidermied rats that and just put that in black and white, all grainy, and just show all those rats with the cotton coming out of their eye sockets. That would have been the card for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though I was like, okay, those rats are probably like treated, they're 100 years old or whatever, I'm still not just picking them up and touching them.
Right.
Yeah.
Something inherently wrong. You don't touch a rat. They are filthy.
Right. Well, it's amazing how quickly the rat species is able to adapt and overcome.
Yeah.
And basically mutate itself to resist like certain things. Well, even like the parasites and stuff, and
the
tactics.
raticide.
Yeah, and tactics that humans use to capture them. Because like the one guy, the old grizzly dude that lives in the basement or whatever, the retired
exterminator.
Yeah, exterminator guy. He even talked about how like some of his studies of you'd put out rat poison, and like the senior rat in the group would send like one of the younglings in to try it first, and then watch the youngling die. So okay, and then they'd like piss on that area to mark, okay, don't go here because you'll die, and then what was the other one? Oh, the traps. Like he switched to traps, and then the rats figured out the traps, and they started ignoring the traps. And
so there is a tie-in to this that my pharmacist wife told me about. So I tell her about the raticide stuff and how they're finding it's actually the rats are getting immune to it, but the wild animals and whatnot that are eating the rats are being found dead because they're getting secondhand poisonings.
Right.
I can't remember the name of the blood thinner, but basically the concept, the blood thinners that we use in pharmacy in the U.S. are variations of these same raticide chemicals. And they're actually, the way they're legally required to touch them and not touch them and safely keep them in the pharmacies is more strict than some like cancer meds that are like literally
poison to the body.
Poison to the body, or they're giving off radiation. Their radiation medication is less strict in some cases than how you touch. Like literally, if you touch these blood thinners that have these derivatives of this raticide in it, and you're, say, a pregnant or nursing mom, your kid is almost guaranteed to have some sort of birth defect if you aren't washing and gloving up and even masking up so you don't breathe the dust of that comes off the pills sometimes. And that's what we use for blood thinners in very controlled small doses.
Jeez.
So
that's crazy.
Interesting.
And we're pumping this stuff into the ground.
Yeah, that's great. It's organic. It's organic. All no rats at all.
Yeah, groundwater. Yeah, trust it. Sure.
It makes me feel different being in LA. They were talking at the restaurant we went to, that was the benefit, having their fresh food and veggies was because they were so close to the well-known LA Hollywood farmers market. And my thought was, and how many rats call that place paradise?
Yeah. Right. Well, you got to think of it, like in Vietnam where they're eating the rats, Do the rats taste better when they're grass-fed or rice-fed?
Oh, I'm sure.
I thought of that, yeah. All natural diet of rice.
It just tastes like sweet chicken.
Right, sweet chicken.
It looked good once it was cooked.
But sweet. It's like, sweet chicken. Interesting.
It was funny because Steph's talking about what a pain in the butt it is to deal with chicken bones when you're a chef, because nobody wants to the bones, and so you got to debone all this stuff. And she's like, "What do you do with rats? How do you debone a rat?"
Right. You just put it on the plate full. It's up to the customer to debone it.
Yeah.
That was a funny scene. That little old lady chef is just like methodically drowning the rats. And that she comes across that one
that's still alive.
Screeches and then whack.
She jumps, but then starts laughing about it.
Yeah.
It just picks it up and whacks it a couple of times with a hatchet.
Yeah.
Handheld.
Food safety right there. Yeah. Butcher block in the ground next to my dirty feet.
Right. Dude, how are these countries just not having these massive?
Yeah.
They have strong immune systems because they eat this crap all the time.
Yeah, since birth.
Yeah.
I guess.
Did you notice when she was preparing, I guess let's call it, preparing the rat, she left the ears, so she cut off like the front of their heads, but not the ears.
Yeah.
So I asked Steph about that. She said it's probably because they want to eat the brain, because they think the brain's a delicacy.
Wow.
Isn't that called ginger? What's that called? Breads or something?
Sweetbreads.
Sweetbreads.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
I think sweetbreads are their organs.
Different organ.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they were deliberately just trying to remove like the mouth and eye part of
teeth.
it.
Just like the teeth and the eyes.
Yeah.
They probably suck the brain out, kind of like crab.
Yeah, like with shrimp.
Yeah, that juice.
Like the old Indiana Jones movie with the
chewed monkey brains.
Yeah, monkey brains. All right. Anything else on this one, you guys?
It was a really good one.
Really well put together.
Yeah.
Loved how it just builds up, just getting worse and worse and worse. Yeah. So, all right. Now I'll go ahead and do it for this episode. Thanks again for listening. We appreciate it.
Talks on Docs is a community podcast, meaning we want to get to know you and to talk to you, the listeners. But to make that happen, we need you to first contact us. Please feel free to email us at talksondocs@gmail.com. Or if you prefer, contact us on Facebook at Talks on Docs or on Twitter at Talks on Docs.
Beautiful day in this neighborhood, beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?